Good morning, friends. Diana here from Garden Love. I know it's been a minute since I posted. Summer's coming to the end, so I had to make sure that I took some time to be with my kids, take care of some things that I wanted to take care of. But I woke up today, came out to the garden. I couldn't help myself from grabbing the camera and showing you guys what's going on in the garden. A few surprises are here, which I'm very excited to show you guys, because at the beginning of the summer, you guys know that I was pretty disappointed with the way my garden was going. It's still struggling, and we're still battling a few things that I'm learning through this whole process. But I do want to show you guys some amazing successes that I'm proud to show you guys. So I did grow some moringa seeds this last spring, and most of them didn't make it. I decided to put this one in here to see what it did, and as you guys can see, it is doing amazing. What I learned about the moringa is that they do not like completely direct water. So I had a drip here, and it wasn't doing well. And when I removed the drip, when the soil was somewhat moist but more dry than moist, it started thriving. As you guys can see, look at this, tons of new growth. Out of the many moringas that I was growing, this is the one that took off. And I have a lot of success stories like this today to share with you guys, because a lot of things, I grew tons of seeds of several things, and only a few made of, out of all the seeds that I grew, only a few made it, such as this one. I grew 8 seeds of moringa that successfully grew and sprouted, and once they had sprouted, I put them in different locations, and this is the only one that made it so far. So the water is, it is watering my onions and garlics, and it's coming down with gravity, so it's not getting direct water, and I think that's what it likes. They like full sun and some water, not a lot. So I think these are plants that will do great where you guys have very little water and tons of sun and a little bit of water. So I highly recommend. As you guys know, moringa is an amazing plant. It's a super plant. You can eat the leaves, you could eat the stem, you can eat the pods that will grow out of here, and you could even eat the roots. You can basically eat everything from the moringa plant, which is amazing. So I'm looking forward to it. As you guys can see, the trunk is doing really good. It's pretty thick. It's maybe as thick as my pinky, so that's pretty good for one growing season. And if you guys are familiar with moringas do tend to grow pretty fast once they get established. So I'm going to be seeing massive growth coming out of here. There is galvanized wiring under here, because this is part of the section that I protected from the gophers. And I will show you guys a little later on some of the things that my gophers have devoured. But for now, let's start with the success stories. Moringa is definitely one of the ones that I highly recommend for you guys if you guys want little to no attention, little water, full sun, and something that's that you and your family are gonna benefit from growing it and having it here. So let's move on to the next thing. All right, friends, well, here's another success story. Quite frankly, I did not think this was going to make it at all. I've been trying to grow these Chinese purple beans for a very long time, and the plants were doing very bad, and they were growing super slow when I put them in the ground. Quite frankly, I didn't think they were gonna make it. I just left them all summer, and as you guys can see, there is tons of green beans. I came out here and I was super surprised that they were growing. Look at these. Now I do have to say that I'm noticing that this plant is prone to aphids, as you guys can see. I don't know if you guys can see them. Let me see. That one's full of aphids, so I'm not going to eat that. But there is many other ones that are perfectly fine, and I'm going to come and harvest this after this video. But I do want to say that I was super thrilled to see this plant thriving and growing. I believe there's 2 plants in here. I didn't think it was gonna make it, and furthermore, I didn't think I was gonna get green beans. So I was super surprised when I came out here and saw a little bit of color. Was wondering what it was. When I got closer, well, they're not green like Lily said, because I showed her one and she's like, these are not green beans, these are purple beans. She is completely right. These are the Chinese purple beans, and I can't wait to cook them and taste them. As you guys can see, I just put a simple trellis, let it climb and let it grow. Now that I know that they take a while to get established, I'll probably put them in the ground a lot sooner, and I will establish a better trellis so they can have more space to grow, because these are now getting out of control. I'm assuming now that there's mulch and that the roots are established, they are thriving and they're going to continue to grow till the end of summer. I did put some on the other side and those aren't doing as good as these, so we'll see what happens. But this is another success story that I have for my garden. Some purple beans, look at how delicious these look. Aren't those amazing? I'm excited to cook with these. So let's move on to another success story. Well, friends, here we are. This little sunflower, as you can see, got chewed up several times by the bunnies or squirrels, and it's quite a fighter. It is fighting through life right now and really trying to put out a beautiful sunflower. And you guys might be wondering, how is this a success story? Well, look at how beautiful this is. Isn't that gorgeous? I absolutely love it. This is my first time growing sunflowers and I'm in love. I plan on growing them year after year and maybe have a field of sunflowers one day and make everything look so beautiful. Now, this is not as thick as my other ones. This is just one that I wanted to show you because I wanted to show you guys what a fighter it is. Now let me show you over here the ones that I truly want to show you and I'm really proud and impressed with. I'm going to show you coming up. Here's another fighter. I had about 19 of these sprout and I put them in the ground, and due to the squirrels and well, let's not talk sad stories. Let's move on to success stories. Look at this, friends. Oh my goodness, how exciting is this? This is bigger than my head. As you can see, look at that. It is gorgeous. I am so impressed with this flower, the sunflower. Look, as you can see, it was getting devoured from whatever can reach those leaves. And as you can see, I have another one up there. Let me show you guys. Look at how beautiful this sunflower is, how tall it is. I'm gonna stand a little bit above it so you guys can see what an amazing sunflower and how gorgeous and how tall it is. I absolutely love it. This is definitely a success in Garden Love's homestead, and as you guys can see, they look amazing. I've seen tons and tons of bees coming by. Oh my god, look at how beautiful that one is. This one is perfectly round and flat. That one is bulging. It looks like a little mushroom. It is amazing, guys. Look at how tall it is. Let me show you guys. I can't with this. Look at, I am super impressed. So what I've noticed with these, they do very well once they're established. They don't require tons and tons of water. They love the sun. They get full sun from sunrise to sunset. So they absolutely love dry, similar to the soil here in Southern California. They do amazing. I do put some of these hay so that way it can help retain some moisture, because I do not have the timer on for very, very, very long. So they are doing great. Out of the 19 sunflower sprouts that I had, only 2 made it. If you want to count this one and that one as one, that's 3. But I am super happy. Look at the bees. They are so happy to be up there, to be enjoying the sunflower. Look at that. I am loving it. They're pollinating it. So sunflower is another success that we had here in the garden. I'm hoping that this is one of many. I'm learning tons and tons from this season, and I couldn't ask for anything more other than the lessons that I'm getting from this garden. Let's go on with another success story. Well, I know you guys have seen my basil in my previous videos, but look at how massive. It completely created a hedge of basil. I've let it go to flowers because, as you guys know, I have bees in the property and the bees are absolutely loving it. I might take some of these, trim them down, maybe they'll continue to grow. And what I'm going to do is just dry the basil, dehydrate it, so that way I can have a jar full of basil for the winter, since I won't be growing, you know, they'll die down over the winter. And hopefully that would help. That plant is pretty much a goner, and I'm gonna let that completely full blown out. And see, this one's barely flowering, so I'm gonna cut the flowers and just harvest the basil. But look at how amazing this hedge of basil. And what I'm noticing is what's thriving is what doesn't require tons and tons of water once they get established, and things that like completely full sun. So if you live in a similar climate in Zone 9B, Southern California, like I do, these are some of the things that you might want to consider planting in your garden next growing season in spring. I still have yet to learn about the winter crop, what's going to thrive in this area, and I can't wait to show you guys a video just like this for the winter crop. I don't know if you guys can see that ginormous basil. There's another one there, another one there. That one, actually the one next to it all the way at the end got devoured by rodent. What do you call them? Oh my god, I can't think of the word right now. The little things that go underground, and it started chewing. I guess he discovered it. But from my moringa to this basil plant, there's wiring under it, so he won't be able to access those. Thankfully, nothing. There we go, gophers. The gophers haven't accessed this area, which I'm super surprised and happy at the same time. So next year, maybe I would do a hedge of basil surrounding where the galvanized is. That way it can be, center, and maybe since the bunnies are not eating this, it will create a barrier of like a hedge protecting the center crops. Maybe I can finally grow my zucchini. So that is the plan, because basil does have a strong smell. To me, it smells wonderful. It smells so wonderful, but to the squirrels and everything else, I don't think they like the smell. So that's a great lesson. I just noticed the tiniest little bee here. I don't know if you guys can see it. It is so cute. I think that's the smallest bee I have ever seen here at the homestead. It almost looks like a fly, but it's not. I got close enough to see it was a tiny bee. So super excited, guys. So yes, definitely basil is one of my success stories here at Garden Love. It's created a complete hedge going across. Super excited to create a hedge bordering the galvanized wiring underneath this section where I plan on having all my vegetables. So I'm excited about that. Maybe it'll go from basil, garlic, and in the very center I'll grow my zucchini. I can talk about. All right, well, here's another success story. I don't know if you guys recall those nopales that I was growing in a pot. I decided to take one off because something took a bit off of it, and I wasn't sure if it was going to make it, but I decided just to put it here in one of the dirt lockers. And as you can see, it's loving the soil from Foothill soil that was brought to the homestead. Every single dirt locker here is filled with some Foothill soil, and I'm so happy because everything's thriving. The only thing that is not thriving is things that are being eaten by the gophers. But look at my nopales. I am so excited to continue to propagate this and grow some more. Look at. So this is a native nopal. They just sprouted. I'm gonna let it grow just to see what it looks like. So let's move on. Beside the nopales and the basil, the moringa, I'm gonna show you a few other things. All right, friends, so another success story that I've had here, although I haven't harvested many of these, is these little cherry tomatoes that I planted. They need a little bit of water, so I'm going to hand water them here pretty soon. As you can see, we have a few that are ready to go, and I'm going to harvest some of them even though they're not fully ripe, because they can ripen on the counter. And this is one of the other many success that I had in the garden. You guys know that tomatoes are like weeds. They practically grow anywhere as long as it has some water. It doesn't require tons of water and full sun. As you guys can see, all of the ones up here, for some reason, aren't getting enough water. I need to check out my irrigation system and see why they aren't getting that much water and check them out. But they're still thriving, they're still growing. And I'm gonna check over here and show you. Look at all of these. I was trying to protect some tomatoes from the rodents, and as you can see, they just chew right through that. So I thought that would be an easy solution, but it really is not much of a solution. So well, if I'm going to talk to you guys about basils, I want to show you guys that this Thai basil is also doing amazing. I haven't used this basil for cooking at all whatsoever. Quite frankly, when I saw that it started blooming, I decided to leave all of the basil flowers for the bees because they absolutely love this. It looks very pretty in the landscape, and as you can see, they're all flowering. But this basil did really well as well, so I'm definitely going to replant this again next year, and I am going to use it more next year. This year I might just come over here and harvest a few, but it is doing amazing. It gets full sun, it gets some water. I decided to this is a lesson learned. So I put a tomato next to the basil, and they're both growing pretty well, but to be honest with you, the basil, as big as it's getting, it's definitely gonna need its own space. So that is what I have growing here in the garden that's successfully growing. It's thriving. Let me show you a few other things. Here's my last success story I'm going to share with you guys. My onions are doing amazing. Look at that bulb. It is growing so well, and they're all starting to get a little bit bigger here with time. And I'm glad that they're not all bolting as fast as that one, because that way I can harvest as I need. And as you guys can see, the onions did amazing. It's time for me to harvest. I started later than most people, but I think I'm fine. Look at that one, how big that one is. So onions and garlics are definitely one of the ones that I'm going to continue to grow here in the garden. And like I mentioned earlier, I might do a square of the basil, then I'm gonna do following the onions, and then after that I'm gonna put my zucchinis in the middle in hopes that would deter the rodents from actually getting to them, and it's not such open space where they can see it and get to it right away. And hopefully next year we'll have a much better harvest when it comes to vegetables, because the herbs are doing amazing. As you guys can see, the rosemary, oh wow, they're everywhere and they are doing great. Rosemary there. This is oregano, and it also went to flower, so I'm going to try to harvest some of it. Now, I haven't grown some of these herbs in the past and have them go to seed and come back. I don't know if you guys have. I'm curious to know if I should harvest the seed or will they just come back, such as this oregano. So I'm very curious. If you guys have any suggestions, please let me know. Look at this rosemary. As you can see, the rodents got to this ginormous plant and ate half of it, because most of them were actually, this plant was as big as the rest of them, but since there's no galvanized wiring under here, it got to it and enjoyed half of it, which is fine. I have plenty of basil to share with. My rosemary is doing okay. Rosemary, and yep, that is it, friends. Everything else is just ornamental, like the lavender. Here's another plant of oregano, so I might want to harvest some of that so I can go ahead and have some seeds for next year. Wow, look at that, and it smells amazing. Oh yeah.